When most people hear treasure hunt, they think of pirates in three-pointed hats, booby traps, and chests filled with gold doubloons and priceless artifacts. In Louisiana, however, couple Kyla Boardman and Josh Morehouse found a different type of treasure, one that goes beyond collector items. The NTQ's Golden Medallion offers not only a signature treasure piece, but a door to exploration, community engagement, and a window to our shared history.
So, my name is Kyla Boardman. I grew up in small town Eureka Springs, Arkansas, about a population of 2,000. I met Josh about 7 years ago when I was hosting a soccer spaghetti dinner to benefit the soccer team. And he walked in, he somehow snuck in, and he was looking for free food. And that's how we met. I found out then that we were neighbors. And after that, it was just a happy little summer fling that never really ended. I told him whenever I was going off to college, because I met him my senior year, I told him whenever I was going off to college, I wasn't interested in a long-term relationship, and he ended up just following me there, and we haven't really stopped following each other since.
Yeah.
We currently live in Alabama, where he moved for his position at NASA. I found a position there about 6 months in at the Huntsville Botanical Garden. I'm the HR coordinator there, and it's been a very happy career change. I used caving, painting, rock climbing, knitting. I do some whitewater kayaking. It's just, I love to taste a little bit of everything that life has to offer.
My name is Josh Morehouse. I'm an aerospace engineer at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. My hobbies are, caving, canyoneering, climbing, building stuff, and tinkering, as they say.
Our favorite hobby together is probably caving. It's where we bond the most. It's very much a sport where you need to trust every single person that you go in with to be able to carry you out and to be able to be your rock whenever you're inside of it. Caving is an incredibly dangerous sport inherently, and so when you're going in, you need to trust your partner 100%. Some of the other things that we share together is canyoneering is a big thing where it's very similar. You need to trust your partner, and climbing. It's been a lot of trusting sports that we have to share.
So we're in Louisiana right now because of the NTQ and going to find that medallion. This medallion right here. I had found the Missouri medallion a few months before we came here to Louisiana, and I got back and I got the Louisiana clues, and the last one had just come out, and I spent a good amount of time researching them and trying to reduce the search area as best I could, and I thought I had honed it in pretty well, and that's when I went up to Kyla and I said, hey, you want to jump down to Louisiana a little bit?
Yeah, so something interesting that we did is we both looked at the clues. Like for the Missouri one, he organically showed me the clues, I organically saw the clues on Louisiana, and we were both able to deduce. We came to the same conclusion that it would be in this area, but Josh's expertise on actually looking through the web and finding the most random Facebook pages that included pictures that you would never think of online, the white blazes on the trail, the trying to find pictures of what you guys were referring to for different clues was such a great skill that he was able to hone and really look into.
Yeah, I knew that the clues had led to Lake Claiborne, but then the next clue was to say to follow the white blaze, so I wanted to try to get confirmation that there was a trail that followed white blazes. And I was able to find one or two old Facebook pictures of them doing maintenance on these trails, and they had little white blazes on the trees, which was a nice bit of confirmation that we were on the right path.
We also knew that coming to Louisiana, Lake Claiborne, it was going to be a beautiful area, and it was going to be a beautiful place to explore anyway. We weren't able to match the clues until we were actually physically here.
Yeah, a lot of the clues for this one, you needed to be in the area to really know what the clue is referring to, like the King of the Conifers and Red Maple. We knew that there was a white blaze trail, but all the clues after that, you really had to be here to be able to deduce them down and find the medallion.
So with the NTQ, you were given the first clue for free. Portugal, Alaska, and Phoenix was the first one for Louisiana. and that did not help us at all. We didn't know anything about what Portugal, Alaska, and Phoenix could possibly lead to. One was a state, one was a city, and one was a country. So we were very, very confused in that way.
But the next clues we were able to deduce, and that helped narrow down to where we had to go.
A Greek poet inspired the city was the second clue. And that was such a great indication because anybody who's been to a sophomore level English class read the Odyssey, and everybody knows it was written by Homer. And that was really what led us to Homer, Louisiana.
Yeah.
We are in beautiful Lake Claiborne State Park, and Homer, Louisiana is about 10 miles away from here. So not exactly, but it is the closest state park to that city.
The clue following that mentioned that when cotton and corn were supplanted, oil had helped rescue this place from the history books, and that again led to Homer, Louisiana. And in fact, the lake actually being a man-made lake played a role in that as well.
Furthermore, we were able to deduce that it was at Lake Claiborne because the next clue indicated about the Louisiana Purchase and the one who supervised this purchase. And from that, we were able to deduce from Wikipedia that it was William C.C. Claiborne that actually did the supervision of it. And with the confirmation of Homer in the area, it just led us straight to this park as well.
So once we had found out that we had to go to Lake Claiborne State Park, Friday we got off work early, jumped in the car, and then took the drive down. We arrived about midday, and we came in, and we actually ended up talking to the very nice park ranger, who we asked her, if there are any trails that followed white blazes around, and she was very helpful. She said that the White Tail Trail, and she pointed us to the parking lot that we had to go to find the trailhead, and that's where we started looking around.
At the very beginning of our search, we had a little bit of confirmation bias because I got fixated on the names of the trails. So the White Tail Trail did have the white blazes, but also the King of the Mountain Trail seemed a very attractive option for where the King of the Conifers would be along the trail. So we did search up there a little bit, but eventually we did come down to find the white blazes. So when we found the white blazes for the trail, we just immediately started following them. And it wasn't very long till we came upon the King of the Conifers, that giant pine tree that just was very obvious the indication of this clue. We got very excited at that point, and did a little bit of searching in the area. But we also were missing the second half of the clue, which was the red maple that we.
So while we went past the King of the Conifers, following the white blazes on the White Tail Trail, we found a fork in the road that continued on the White Tail Trail, but also it forked off to another trail called the King of the Mountain Trail. And Kyla thought that the King of the Mountain might connect to the King of the Conifers, and so we went and checked that out for a little bit.
Our confirmation bias was that there was quite a few labeled trees along that route. So along the White Tail Trail, we hadn't seen any signs that labeled any trees at that point. We had just found the King of the Conifers, but we hadn't found the red maple at this point. We hiked up and down and up and down and all around that one trail with the bridge, and we turned over possibly every stone.
And wasn't on the White Blaze Trail, it was on a separate trail. But we saw red maple, we saw King of the Conifers, and we got excited.
Finally, after we just searched high and low in that area, we decided to return to the Whitetail Trail and keep on hiking past that intersection, where we eventually did find the red maple sign that it was referring to. And after that point, we moved on to the next clue.
So now that we had our King of the Conifers and our red maple, we knew that it was somewhere between those 2 points, and the next clue stated that you could walk the plank, but you don't have to. And so we started searching, and we started working our way back towards the one bridge that we had crossed, that we thought the clues were referring to, where you could walk the plank, but you don't have to.
Because the space in between each, there must have been a half mile of trail that we were going to search. So we really took to searching around landmarks. One of the landmarks was a bridge that crossed a dry creek bed. That dry creek bed had a whole bunch of downed trees in that area. And as we sat on the bridge, exhausted and hot in the Louisiana heat, we decided that we needed a more systematic approach. Maybe we need to go at this a bit more analytically. If we go in like a grid pattern and say I search from that crest of the hill and you search, say, from that stump, and we just don't leave a single stone unturned, around in the leaves and in the holes just in the hillside. And I started walking up to him and I was asking, hey, did you find anything yet? Is there any indication, any rocks, anything that looks a little weird? And as I was approaching him, I was walking along a big downed log. This log, it was smooth, it was pale, and it kind of reminded me of a plank. It was an old pine tree that had fallen, and I was stepping on and off, and I was like, I don't have to walk on this, but I could. You didn't find anything yet?
No, not yet.
Walk the plank, but you don't have to. Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
Walk the plank, but you don't have
You
to.
don't have to.
Walk the plank,
Plank.
but you don't have to though. And it started to click in my mind. We'd been repeating the same words over and over again. You could walk the plank, but you don't have to. It almost became a religious chant for us at that point in the day. We would just say them back and forth. And at that point, I started to realize maybe the plank was a fallen tree and not necessarily a bridge. And at that point, he looked down and buried in the nook of one of these old fallen logs was a rock. But you don't have to.
Kyla.
What?
Come here, quick.
Oh my God.
Kyla, come here.
What?
Look, I'm up here.
Oh my God. What is that? Oh my God.
Grab it. Open it.
Oh my God.
Let's go. And under that rock was a little blue box.
There shouldn't be a rock in a tree, and there definitely shouldn't be a little blue box, but when we found that little blue box, we started whooping and hollering and jumping up and down, and
Hold the coin up.
it was a very exciting moment for both of us at that time.
When I had found the Missouri medallion, I went out alone, and I did the drive alone, and I did all the searching alone, and I found it. But I remember when I found it, I reached in and I grabbed the box, I found the medallion, I cheered, and when I stopped cheering, it was very quiet. So, when we come out and doing this particular quest and bringing Kyla along, we could keep the energy up and keep the energy going. As we know, when you go out and you start searching, with all treasure hunting is you're not going to find it immediately, and there's going to be a lot of lows, but having someone else there to pick you up and say, no, let's go check this spot out as well, it keeps the drive going, and I firmly believe that I wouldn't have found this if Kyla wasn't there with me. And so, they can do some of the driving, they can keep the energy up, and you can cover a lot more ground if you have more than one set of eyes.
Yeah, just the value that it brings to go out with somebody and go out with a group not only stops at car games on the way out or conversation, it also motivates you to work and look a little bit longer, just a little bit longer, because you don't want to let your partner, friend, or group down. You want to be with them whenever you find it. When Josh first went out to go see the NTQ, it honestly was a little bit of a fake out for me. I didn't believe that it was real. I thought that the clues were too hard. I was a big doubter. I was a big sassy doubter Okay,
That's
so
that's
I
naming
was...
his phone now for you.
No!
Doubter.
So whenever Josh went out to go see the Missouri Quest, I didn't believe it was real. I thought that it was honestly a little bit of an internet scam. And whenever he finally got to the location, I didn't hear from him for about an hour or two. And I was in the parking lot of a grocery store. It was around Thanksgiving that he had headed out. And so I was a little bummed that I didn't have anybody to celebrate Thanksgiving
Oh, I didn't
with.
abandon you on Thanksgiving.
I was
Don't
alone
pull up that story.
in
Cut this
Alabama.
out. Do not.
I had no family, no friends.
The truth's coming out.
I want the camera. She decided to go spend Thanksgiving with her
could
friend down in
not.
Atlanta.
I
I decided, okay, if you're just going to go do that, I'm going to go search for a medallion then. I did not abandon you.
I was going to spend Thanksgiving with friends. However, after a couple hours of I know that he was out there, I got a call. And I wasn't sure if that call, because it was near the end of the day, I wasn't sure if that call was, I'm giving up, I'm coming back, or it was going to be a excited jabbering of, oh my gosh, I found it. Turned out it was the latter, and we just kind of celebrated over the call at first. And I was curious if he was going to share this information with anybody. And it turned out that he decided not to. He just shared it with me. And whenever he shared it with me, that made me feel like all the special people in the world. Because you always kind of wonder, who will you tell if you win the lottery? And it was very sweet that he chose to tell me. And whenever he came back, it was a little bit of celebrating, but the next big thing was, okay, what are we going to do next? What are we going to look for next? And at that time, he invited me out to the Louisiana Quest. We worked out a time where we could leave early from work, and I was 100% in at that. We discussed it beforehand if we found it. We discussed it beforehand if we didn't find it. But it was just exciting to be on a trip with him and have this potentially great grand prize at the end. Okay, the National Treasure Quest really became attractive to us because who doesn't want to have that feeling of following a treasure map? Who doesn't want to be the adventurer in their mind, the Nicolas Cage that deduces the clues and finds the gold at the end? It's really just for everyone and anyone who wants to feel a little bit more adventure, a little bit more of a tangible thing that drives you to be a pioneer. That's a very roundabout way of saying that there are very few things left to discover large in this world. There's no more continents. There's no more islands. Satellites got that covered. You can't discover anything big anymore, but you can discover the amazing things in your backyard. And that's what the NTQ, the National Treasure Quest, can offer. It's offering you an opportunity and a prize at the end.
Treasure hunting has always been something that, the kids have in the back of their minds that they want to grow up and be treasure hunters. Or we go out to the movies and we see Nick Cage going out and finding quests and treasure around the world. But you never hear of anybody actually going out and doing it. And this gives you a chance to actually go out and do a classic treasure hunt. Take that adventurous spirit and that urge to go out and explore and put it to something useful. Go out and find one of these medallions. And it's an incredibly rewarding experience. And honestly, anybody can do it. You don't have to immediately run out your door and start exploring. You can take it slowly and you can get the clues and start doing some internet sleuthing and start deducing. And then once you have that confidence that, hey, I think it's in this spot here, then you go out and you explore and you see if you were right or not. And even if you weren't, you went out and you explored an area that you probably wouldn't have seen otherwise, and you know that, hey, that wasn't it. Let's go back and rededuce the clues and let's see if it leads to another area. When I went and found the Missouri Quest, when Kyla and I went and found the Louisiana Quest, the clues that helped us find these medallions were just clues that were released on a timely basis into your emails. But now the Arkansas and the new Missouri and the new Louisiana quests are actual treasure maps that they send out to you. And it's an entirely new experience to have all the clues there at once and it's a different type of adventure, trying to deduce the different parables from Missouri and the different pictures and graphs and maps for the Arkansas and Louisiana quest, and they're quite enjoyable to try to deduce and to go out there and figure those ones out as well.
It's very challenging and good if you like puzzles or riddles, especially, as well as just finding out little bits of information about flags or codes. The dots, the GPS coordinates that might be GPS coordinates. You really don't know what it is until you stumble upon it. And once you stumble upon it, it's just the best feeling.
I'm Joshua Morehouse, and this is my second medallion, and here's to many more. I'm going to have a wall of these things before I'm done.
And I'm Kyla Boardman, and this is my first of many medallions.
Yes. Damn it, Kyla! I told you!
That was great.
I told you!
Playing with fire.